As a new healer in ESO, there's a 100% chance that you're going to make some mistakes. Even veteran healers with thousands of hours in the game still make mistakes from time to time, myself included. It's perfectly natural, and it's part of how we grow and become better at the game. If you've ever wondered what mistakes you might be making as a healer in ESO, then get comfy, because my name's Doc, your host for all things healing, and I'm going to go over 5 common mistakes that I see new healers make. Let's get into this. So, to start, one of the biggest mistakes I see new healers make is reactively healing instead of proactively healing. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, reactive healing is when you only heal your team when their health goes down. I've seen it before. Someone will say that they go into a dungeon or a trial with only a couple burst heals and they just heal whenever they start to see their team's health bars go down. Now, I'm not saying that it's not possible to clear some content as a healer with this method. Based on what testimonials I've heard, people do express that they've had some success with this method. If that's you, then hey, more power to you. However, I'd just like to throw in, as someone who's been healing for a little while now, a much more efficient way of keeping your team alive is through proactive healing. Now, what does this mean? Well, proactive healing means to keep high uptimes on passive healing that gives health over time. Skills like radiating regeneration, echoing vigor, extended ritual, and many more. So what's the benefit of doing this? Why would I want to keep hitting people with heal over time spells if they're already at full health? Well, there are a couple reasons. The first is that it helps you keep a high uptime on buffs or sets that proc via healing or overhealing. Sets like Spell Power Cure or Powerful Assault are very easy to keep a 95% or higher uptime simply by just keeping Echoing Vigor active on your teammates. Another example is the skill Combat Prayer. Just by recasting this on your group, even if they're already at full health, you can still provide them with Minor Berserk and Minor Resolve. The other reason is that it gives you an advantage when your team does start taking damage. If you've got all your heal over time spells and AoE heals active, then anytime a teammate starts taking damage, they'll almost immediately start healing back up to full health thanks to proactive healing. And if you do need to throw out some burst heals to keep them alive, you'll have a little bit of an easier time keeping them alive with those burst heals. So, moving on, the next mistake that I see new healers make is neglecting your buffs. Now, before you jump down to the comments, this is not me saying that healers shouldn't heal and should only focus on buffing. What I am saying is that you usually don't have to choose. One of the nicest things about healing in ESO is that a lot of buffs and utility healers provide is through healing. Just in the last tip, I provided Spell Power Cure and Powerful Assault as examples. Both of these are considered to be extremely strong buff sets for your damage dealers, yet I activate both of them by healing. I completely understand that not everyone may like the playstyle of a Rojo build or an Ulti-Gen build, and that is totally okay. You can still provide, though, very strong buffs to your team without compromising your playstyle. Even if you prefer straight healing sets, the weapon and spell damage you yourself get from those sets that I mentioned will also increase your healing output. If you slap on Ozazen, Spell Power Cure, and Powerful Assault, you can provide a tremendous amount of utility to your team without changing a single thing about your playstyle. If you'd like to know more about how to do that, I've got plenty of videos on my channel covering all sorts of builds, skills, sets, etc. All of this is to simply say that when it comes to healing and buffing, try to find ways of making it so that you don't have to choose. The next mistake I see new healers make is mismanaging your resources. A little saying that I like to go by is that as a healer, your stamina keeps you alive. Your magicka keeps everyone else alive. Running out of one or the other can be very detrimental to you, and by proxy, your group. Now you may be asking, how exactly does that mismanagement happen? Well, I find that 9 times out of 10, it's usually the result of spamming skills that use a lot of magicka. Burst heals are usually the most common culprit of this. Spamming things like Combat Prayer or Healing Soul can drain your magicka very quickly. Another common culprit, though, is pretty much anything in the Restoring Light skill line. Take it from a Templar main that skills like Breath of Life and Extended Ritual are incredibly taxing on your magicka. It's important just to make sure that you're not overusing skills that can drain your magicka. Now, I'm also not saying don't ever spam. When you need to cover most of a trial team with radiating regeneration, or you need a couple extra combat prayers to get through a heal check, do what you gotta do. On top of that, if you find that you just tend to be a bit spammy with your healing, there are other ways of maintaining your resources. If you need to build more recovery, go for it. If you need to build into potion cooldown, be my guest. If you need to run all light armor to squeeze out that extra bit of recovery, fine by me. Obviously, the spamminess does tend to be the leading cause of running out of magicka, but you could also, just take a quick peek at your build to see if maybe there's something you can do to accommodate your playstyle. The next mistake that I commonly see is when healers ignore light attack weaving. I know, many people don't like the idea of weaving, especially in roles like tanking or healing. I promise you though, that weaving is actually far more beneficial for healers than you may realize. Now, in case you don't know what weaving is, allow me to explain. In ESO, there's a global ability cooldown of 1 second. This means you can only cast an ability on your action bar every 1 second. Light attacks do not share that cooldown, meaning you can cast a light attack during that 1 second cooldown after casting an ability. This is normally used by damage dealers to increase their damage per second. However, light attacks do more than just deal damage. Healers can actually benefit from light attack weaving because light attacks are also a form of ultimate generation. Whenever you hit something with a light attack, you gain 3 ultimate every second for 8 seconds. If you're able to weave a light attack in between some of your ability cast, that's a lot of free ultimate. Even if you're not using an ulti-gen or ulti-spam build, everyone can benefit from casting more ultimates. On top of that, light attacks can also proc your weapon enchantment. Whether you've got extra weapon and spell damage, absorb magicka, crusher, or whatever else, light attack weaving is the best way for healers to get use out of their front bar enchantment. I understand that it can be daunting for some players to try weaving, but hey, if I can do it, I bet you can too. The final mistake I want to talk about is when healers panic. Maybe you and the main tank are the only ones left alive. Maybe you just messed up a mechanic, or maybe a really difficult heal check is coming. There are many reasons that a healer might want to panic, but I implore you to try your best not to. Obviously, that's much easier said than done, but panicking is very often what leads to mistakes happening in the first place. When mistakes are made, you could go down, your teammates could go down, or the entire group could wipe in some cases. Getting over that feeling of nervousness or panic in difficult content will likely just come with time and experience. The only real advice I can give you is just to do your best. Learn the mechanics, make sure your build is on point, and focus on your rotation. When you're out there and the pressure's on you, take a deep breath, clear your mind, and trust yourself. In time, you'll begin to feel much more calm and confident when you're doing content. You'll still make mistakes, and that's totally okay. No one's perfect, and I still make plenty of mistakes myself. Even then, though, you'll eventually be able to do a much better job of correcting mistakes when they do happen. So get out there and don't panic. And that was my top 5 mistakes that I see new healers make in the Elder Scrolls Online. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you have any other mistakes you see new healers make, feel free to drop them in the comments. And remember, this is not a slight against anyone. We all make mistakes, and that's totally okay. Videos like this are simply meant to educate and inform, not to degrade or make anyone feel bad for mistakes that they may be making. Don't forget to check out the link in the description so you can follow me on stuff and join my Discord server. Before we head out, I also want to give a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters Tyler Scott, Dylan Stewart, Sharni Lee, and Carlos Camacho, as well as my YouTube members King Gingy, Durgy, insert username, Timeburn, Malcolm Ewing, Daytripper, and Lorelei. Thank you for being here, and your support means so much to me. I think all I've got left to say is that I've been Doc. Take care of yourselves, be good to others, remember that you are better than you think you are, and I will catch y'all in the next one.